There you go. We can hear you now. And I think we are live. Tom, can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can and hear you just fine.
Awesome. And I think we are live. So good afternoon, everyone. My name is Tyler Hoffman. We're going to give it a couple minutes here. We see a lot of people filling into the room right now as we get started. We'll start about 2 or 3 minutes after the hour. But while we're waiting, one of my favorite things to do is to see where everyone's dialing in from today. So if you wouldn't mind, if you're familiar with Zoom or Zoom webinars or the workspaces, you should be able to fill into the chat where you guys are dialing in from. I'd love to know the city and state of where people are calling in from today.
Should we tell them where we're
yeah, we should tell them. So we are in Traverse City, Michigan. I call this Northern Michigan. As a local, do you call it Northern Michigan?
It's home.
It's
but
home,
yeah,
yes.
As a local, it's Northern Michigan. Yep.
Love it. We got a Denver, Colorado, a Philadelphia, San Francisco, Corpus Christi. Hey, Casey, how you doing? Tom, where are you calling in from today?
Washburn, Wisconsin.
Oh, across the lake, eh?
Yeah, that's
Just
right.
across the lake. Yep. You know?
What's the closest city, like larger city for you?
Ashland, Wisconsin, probably, which is still not that big. That's only 7,000. Superior, Wisconsin. Superior, Duluth is 75 miles west of me.
Okay. What about Madison? That sounds further.
Madison would be, Wisconsin's a good sized state. What Madison is, I'm in Northwest Wisconsin, and Madison would be trending towards Southeast Wisconsin comparatively.
Good to see you from good old Detroit area. Andrew, I see you're from Atlanta. We'll give it another minute here, guys, before we go ahead and get started. Actually, we have some Northern Michigan lore behind us. So that's got to be the Bay, right, John? We can see, the team can see that here to our left.
I believe that is East Bay.
Okay.
East Grand Traverse Bay, this one here.
Hey, Kathy.
Nice.
This is atop the dunes overlooking the Manitou Islands. If you guys are familiar with those, it's a pretty cool spot.
Nice. I like it.
And this is a random trail through the woods.
Yeah, unknown trail.
Yeah,
yes.
unknown trail. Yeah.
Awesome. Cool. So I see we're about 2 minutes after the hour here. We like to be respectful of time, so we'll go ahead and jump in. For those who don't know, I'm Tyler Hoffman. I'm the CEO and owner here at Metro Wireless. Today, I'm joined by in person with John Grote, who's the director of sales here at Frontier. They are the largest global distributor of PepLink routers and hardware, very similar to Cradlepoint, but we're a big fan of PepLink, and so we're excited to be here with John, who's co-presenting and co-hosting this webinar with us. I'm also joined virtually by Tom Benson. He's out of, well, now Wisconsin, but formerly Minneapolis. He's our VP of Business Development for Metro Wireless. He leads all of our opportunities, including the channel here for Metro Wireless. So we're excited to have him here. Tom is a wireless wizard, as I call him. He's been in the wireless space for well over 13 years. John, I know, has been doing it for well over a decade too. So I'm the newbie of the group, so to speak. But we're really excited to be here today to have a conversation with you guys. Again, I think a lot of people know Metro Wireless recently as a Starlink provider, as a DAS provider. We're getting into private cellular networks and some other things. And so it's interesting for us. We want to get, this conversation is more about getting back to basics. The core of our business, the bread and butter really is the wireless failover, SD-WAN, things of that nature. And so we wanted to do a refresher for everyone on this topic, even though that's, something we haven't been, pushing as hard recently. So we're excited to have the dialogue with you guys on this. Before we jump in, we always talk about a quick housekeeping item. Your microphones are muted by default. If you run into any technical difficulties, please reach out to that email below. That's Ibrahim. He's our marketing manager. He can help you with some of those items from an audio-visual perspective. Your microphones are muted because we like to funnel all of the Q&A directly into the Q&A function on Zoom webinar. We believe we've set up that functionality to be enabled, so please submit all your questions through there. Or if you're having trouble finding the Q&A functionality, feel free to send them through the chat. We will answer all of those questions at the end of the presentation. That's just because we want to make sure we stay on topic during the dialogue, and we'll get to all of the Q&A at the end. I have them pulled up in front of me here with John. And then just a final note, this webinar is recorded. So if you have to leave early or you want to send it to a colleague after the webinar, we will be distributing this via our website. You'll be getting some email follow-up from us, some marketing communications with the slides, the webinar, the transcript of the webinar, some marketing materials, et cetera. So we'll be in a good position at that point to have a dialogue with y'all. But first, let's kind of get into the agenda for today. So Metro Wireless's webinar today is all about business continuity design and wireless failover. Our slogan is we don't want to let outages cost you revenue or your reputation. And so we're going to be talking about a few things today. We'll do a quick introduction of Metro Wireless and who we are. Luckily, I recognize most of the names from the participants today, so we should be in a good place there, but we'll do a quick introduction. John will also introduce Frontier and his team, who's been a very valued partner since at least 2017 for us. Next, Tom will get into business continuity design, why it matters more than ever, especially in a cloud environment. He'll then talk about core concepts and best practices for wireless failover, defining LTE and 5G failover, talking about things to do to improve your wireless experience if you've had issues in the past. We'll then get into, Tom and John will talk about our premium Cadillac solution. That's our bonded wireless failover option. We call that offering Metro Bond. That's been a very fast growing offering for us. And it's really not a product, but a practice. And Tom will talk about that. And then finally, I'll give us a quick recap at the end before we dive into Q&A. So yeah, we'll have a good session today. So who is Metro Wireless? Again, just a quick reminder for anyone who's new to the company and new to our offering. We are a wireless solution provider, proudly based out of Metro Detroit. I happen to be up here in Traverse City today. I drove up from Detroit this morning. We've been around over a decade. And so our heritage and legacy business is in traditional microwave fixed wireless. We then got into LTE and 5G back in 2017. More recently, we've become an authorized Starlink solution provider via the Peplink platform. And so our claim to fame is that we nationally offer managed wireless solutions that are carrier agnostic. So we work with Verizon, T-Mobile, AT&T, US Cellular, Starlink, all to ensure that we can offer the best wireless solutions, whether it's for primary, failover, any type of need. We're proud to have a US first NOC team based in Detroit. We are 24/7, 365. And luckily, my team's worked hard to be able to boast that we have a 9.5 out of 10 CSAT score. We answer the phone in less than 30 seconds on average. We have a 5 out of 5 on Google. And our clients typically stay with us for at least 5 years. So we're very lucky to be able to boast that. And we're proud to be based in Detroit. But John, tell us a little bit about Frontier.
Yeah, so you're from Detroit and you're in Traverse City. I'm from Traverse City. I was in Detroit last weekend watching the Tigers blow it.
Yeah, fair.
But Frontier, who is Frontier? So we are essentially Peplink US, or Peplink's sales and marketing arm is kind of how we like to look at ourselves. We're headquartered up here in Traverse City. We have offices around the globe, from South America to Europe to the Netherlands as well, and in the UK. And who Peplink is pretty much a cutting edge router company that is based and has created their reputation off of their technology. So Speed Fusion is our proprietary VPN technology, and it's been being perfected over the last 18 to 19 years now. We're in every single vertical, from large enterprises, transportation, public safety, anything mobility, things like that. Pretty much if you need connectivity somewhere, Peplink fills that gap. So we are a TAA and NDAA compliant product and technology company, and we've been around a long time, since 2004.
Yeah, we've been using Peplink at least since, and we weren't using another provider before 2017, but we got into this in 2017. And then from there, they've been our only wireless router and hardware provider since then. We've had a very good experience, very low failure rates. I trust them in all of our deployments. So we've had really good success with them. But Tom, kind of get us into talking about business continuity. I know this is a conversation you have weekly with our partners and users.
Yeah, so business continuity, and this is a word that we're maybe modifying from the former failover, because I don't think failover is a robust enough word anymore, and it's a little old. Everything moves along. Wireless came out as a credible resource and a credible network in 2014. And that's when we could deliver circa 30 meg down, 10 meg up with less than 100 millisecond latency. So you could run VoIP on it. And it became a credible backup solution. Thousands and thousands of routers were installed on that basis. And there's tens of thousands, and they're still out there. However, nothing remains the same. And so computers are 10 years faster. Wireless networks are 10 years faster. And over the last 10 years, we've installed this pesky thing called the cloud. And so the cloud is the #1 business driver, along with AI, in American business today. It's a multi-decade transition. We're in probably the third inning on the cloud transition. And so we're doing remarkable things with the cloud. And it's millions and millions of dollars are being spent. However, the downside of the cloud is that you are computing, since you're computing in the cloud, you have to be able to get to the cloud, which equals your internet connection. And the risk of losing your internet connection has remained constant. I don't know how to do mathematical formulas and risk management formulas, but if I did, you would see risk as a constant line. It's neither worse nor better than it was 10 years ago. And your number one, and so the number one reasons we'll get into that, but you lose your internet about as regularly as you always did. But the impact of it is now 50 to 200x higher than it used to be. There's different math out there, but 70% of the compute power is in the cloud on average. And if you're 20, and I think this is in a later slide, but if you're a $25 million business, that's $2 million a month. It comes out to $20,000 an hour. And so for $20,000 an hour, if you lose, if you're not on the net, that's the impact to your business on the bottom line, particularly if you're at point of sale. So for a number of different reasons, the cost of downtime is much greater than it was 10 years ago, and we're here to step in and fill that gap. This isn't a wireless failover solution. This is a cloud protection service. So the top threats to connectivity today are fiber cut, flood, as shown on the slide. That it's not network outage, it's actually physical disruption. And this could be right outside your building, but this could also be 2 miles down the road. There's only so many ways to get a wire into a building. There's only so much public right of way. And so the wires are in the same trench. And I'm just going to go ahead and say the wires are in the same trench. If you can get in writing from your two network providers that their wires are never in the same trench, I'll accept that. Good luck getting that in writing. And then the other threat is floods. The water infrastructure in this country is now 100 years old. Water mains are bursting more and more. And finally, internal construction. As the wires come into the building and they're coming up to your suite, when there's internal construction in the building, they get sawed off. So if you do $2 million a month, that's $100,000 a day. If you're open 10 hours a day, that's $10,000 an hour. We can put a circuit on the roof for $10,000 a year that eliminates the possibility of not being able to get to the cloud. So there's the downside, and then there's the mitigation risk. And that's kind of how we're trying to turn this into a practice, not just I think we're okay. We actually do some measurements.
We have a fiber customer I know just 2 weeks ago. I recall getting the email. It was the funniest outage reason, RFO email. It was something to the effect of, it was a fiber cut due to like a ground varmint, like a groundhog or something, bit through the fiber cable, right? Which I don't even understand how that happens in a commercial landscape where this should be using conduit. But anyhow, that just, fiber cuts do and can happen, right? So it's certainly a thing. But, okay, so I understand well the need to solve for this, but help us understand, at a core level, like how we provide failover.
So failover can be, you design it, and the principal concepts here are, we want to talk about network diversity and route diversity. So network diversity is if AT&T is your main fiber provider, then you can't have an AT&T network, because if AT&T goes down, so your backup network needs to be other. And then other could be Comcast. But then we get into route diversity, and the concept of route diversity is that you can't also be in the same route and that's what we were speaking to before. So if your fiber and your Comcast are in the same trench, if your coax and your fiber are in the same trench, the backhaul clearly doesn't discriminate. Wireless does offer both a network diverse and route diverse service. And so now we're getting into, you can't cut it, you can't flood it, and you can't, if the network goes down, you're independent of that. Now we have an actual designed service. It's similar to when the insurance agent comes out and wants to write a fire insurance policy on your $5 million commercial building. They want to know, do you have fire alarms? How far away is the fire department? Do you have fire hydrants? That's all a factor. And the more that you have prepared, the lower your premium. This is similar to that. The more you prepare, the less you can mitigate 100% of risk. But if you're not prepared at all, you don't know what the impact of the business could be. A catastrophic cloud loss these days is not just, it's money, but it's also reputational. You disappear off the cloud and you're not there. Your customers will start to wonder about your financial viability. So there's impacts beyond the dollar amounts.
Well said. And I think the other thing too, and I know this is on the previous page, Tom, is, it's one thing to have kind kind of the path diversity, but the network diversity is a huge piece to your point, and you can't have AT&T and AT&T to your point. But I think even the need for path diversity goes beyond just the trenching thing too. A lot of these wireline providers share the same data center upstreams, right? And so diversifying away from that via, we'll get into this, you'll get into the satellite piece, right? Or wireless carriers have more data center options that they can lean on. So to your point, it's the fiber cut and flood, but also the data center piece and the core network outages too. So that's fair. But getting back, Tom, to your point, talk to us about what you're seeing and how kind of LTE and wireless failover is kind of the solution or the solve for that.
So the solve for that is I mean, it's pretty straightforward. If you lose so path diversity, route diversity, if you lose your fiber, then it routes to the wireless. And then so now we still have the internet. The next step to that is how fast is the wireless? And that's where we're going to start getting into. So now we have internet connectivity, which is better than not having connectivity. However, is it enough connectivity to run the business as we start to measure this? And we start getting into that more in the next slides.
So John, tell us about the Speed Fusion and how, with regard to Peplink solution, how you guys kind of solve for that.
Yeah, so one thing to keep in mind is Speed Fusion is an 18-year-old technology that Peplink has been working to perfect ever since. So we're very proud of that. We've put a lot of resources into it. Essentially, the easiest way to look at it is if your primary fails, if you're running a Peplink Speed Fusion solution through our VPN, you shouldn't even know that WAN 1 went down, right? So what we're doing is we're breaking it down to the packet level and then running that session through for that single stream. So again, if you do have some disruptions on any of your internet connections, it just takes all the responsibility goes into the other paths. So this is good in a litany of different verticals where mission critical connectivity is required, right? So if you're not able to run credit cards and you're in a retail setting, you're out of business. So this is very, very popular in the POS type systems. And then any other kind of, I don't even know if I consider that mission critical, but a lot of mission critical. So healthcare, mobile deployments, public safety, things like that is where this really comes into play quite a bit.
I consider POS mission critical. If you can't run those dollars, you need those dollars.
Sure.
Yeah,
sure.
You got to get that DoorDash order through.
Totally agree.
Well, and John, I like your diagram up on the top left, right? I think showing you how it fails over to WAN 2 when WAN 1 goes down, and then also fails back seamlessly. That's a huge reason why our clients love what Tom will get into about the bonded solutions, but also our traditional failover clients when they have a coax primary and use this as a wireless failover. So I'm absolutely with you there.
Yep.
Tom, again, you see so many opportunities. You're in the field every day. Talk to us about the big use cases and industries that you're seeing this in.
Yeah, so the number one use case for common wireless and backup go together. So the most common use case for wireless is actually the power industry. They're the largest consumer of business wireless in the country. Power to include electrical rate grids, oil, gas, solar, wind. So they're number one. From a number of deployments, it would be retail stores, of course. Retail stores are in a transaction environment, and they literally, if they don't collect that dollar in that hour, that dollar is not coming back at a minimum, and then that customer might not be coming back at a maximum, depending upon. But at a minimum, that dollar is not coming back. So they like to have two different circuits. Banks are financially obligated in many cases to have a secondary circuit. After the financial meltdown of 2007, 2008, I think it's Glass-Steagall, but it may not be. It could be Sarbanes-Oxley. But the point is that the government passed and said customers must have access to their funds at all times, and an internet outage is not an excuse for a bank. If you're going to have a bank charter, you have to provide access to customer funds, so they have to be up at all times. We're seeing more and more banks move to Starlink because of this. In Texas and in the Southeast, based on their experience with the hurricanes, or their experience with the ice storm from 3 or 4 years ago. We're seeing banks move to Starlink, even though they're bathed in cell signal, because they want to have that absolute, we can get to the internet at all costs and serve our customers connectivity. And then healthcare and construction. So these are every wireless company you talk to, this will be their 95% of their client base will fall into these systems. From a healthcare perspective, you need high-speed wireless, but you're moving. So how do you do that? Peplink Speed Fusion is perfect for that. And from a construction company standpoint, they all have the same problems. They need day zero internet. that's robust, but they just showed up and their address doesn't show up in the USPS doesn't show the address yet because they haven't built the building yet. So how do I order cable services? So we have a robust system for that where they have day zero internet and then they can move it to the next job site. Those are your use cases either for mainline and or for backup. Because once they bring in one shaky circuit, even if they can get a wireline at say a construction site, now they want a wireless circuit. So in either case, this is where wireless lives.
Yeah, and I think you covered that well. The only thing I would add to that is a lot of times we'll see clients, especially you talk about day zero internet, and then the day one is when the fiber gets installed. We often see a lot of clients, Tom, you know this better than I do, that they want to keep the wireless as a failover even after their fiber gets installed too. I know that's a common conversion, solution for us too. But tell us about some of your favorite, metrics that you use to assess, wireless failover and things like that. I love these acronyms you have here.
Yeah. So again, moving this from this wireless is not a dark art, although many of my competitors like to pretend it is a dark art because they want to have that bailout when it doesn't work. They want to be able to say, wow, that's wireless. No, it's not. It's not that's wireless. Wireless is a science, and you can turn wireless into a science. And the science might say you can't get signal here, but there are steps that you can move to determine you can't get signal here. So assured signal acquisition is a function of this. Number one, do you have signal outside the building? Now, in the case of Starlink, the answer we know is yes. In the case of the cellular networks, we have to look to see where the towers are. If you're 500 feet from the nearest tower, then you have excellent signal outside your building. We had a solar farm contact us a month ago in Nebraska. They were 9.5 miles from the nearest tower. And so they don't have cellular signal. That's step one. Do you have it? Do you not? There's a confusion curve out there from some of our competitors who like to claim, well, you covered, that's a tough area for coverage. Say, no, it's not. It's you don't have a contract with all three carriers, and so you're trying to confuse the issue. So a good signal, a good MSP will have Starlink and all three providers. So if they're, and then second, you need a method to determine is there signal outside the building in the sense of where is the nearest tower? And we use tower proximity as a proxy for quality. And then finally, do you deploy a router that can read signal quality inside? So when you put it inside, if the building is starting to kill signal, can we move a router to signal? Or can we lock onto the band that is getting through? And can we see as we move the router around when the signal quality changes, can we find the strongest relative spot? That becomes science, not how many bars do you have, which is what we hear a lot. There's nothing to do with bars. So there's 5 different quality measures inside of a peplink router to tell you. So those are the things that you do to make sure you get signal in the building. This is not spray and pray. This is actually install it properly. And then worst case, if none of those things work, then yes, you put an antenna up, in which case, where's the antenna? Where do we point, or where's the tower? Where do we point the antenna? How do we make sure we get signal? How do we route it inside? You will get wireless signal if you engage with Metro Wireless. If you've ever had an engagement and people say, no, that you can't get signal in there, it's because they gave up, not because they couldn't get signal in there. You can get signal in anywhere. You just have to work harder. So that's on the signal acquisition side, and that's linking that back to the cloud. We have to make sure we get signal, and then do we have enough speed? So moving over to, again, the concept of a coverage ratio, which is pretty straightforward. If you have a 1 gig fiber circuit and you lose your fiber circuit and you have a 200 meg Comcast circuit, let's just say, and you lose that too, which happens all the time, what's left? We advocate for a wireless circuit and not just a 4G wireless circuit, but one, have something. Two, how fast does it run? If it's an old school 4G that does 100 meg down and 20 up and its absolute best day, then you would have 10% down and 2% up for a coverage ratio. So 2% of your upload speed is now available to you. And then go back and check, is that fast enough or is it not? And I'm guessing the IT people would say it's not fast enough. There's a lot of 4G circuits out there still that are running 30 meg down, 10 meg up. They're not even coming close to that 120. So what's the primary? What's the last circuit? That's your coverage ratio. Is it adequate to run the business? How much money do we lose if it's not? And now we've turned an art into a mathematical science that a controller or a CFO or a CIO can look at the math and say, yep, too much risk. We want to solve that. Or, no, I can handle that risk. I'm comfortable with that. Either way, they've made an informed decision.
John, take us through some of the Peplink product line and how you guys offer that, both single modem, dual modem, quad modem, all the fun stuff there.
Yeah, well, the good thing about you guys is your team is incredible at picking the right router.
That's good.
I've noticed that a lot, especially you, Tom. It's great to have you guys front and center with your customers, going over all the different requirements and things like that, but then also presenting it to them as, hey, let's future-proof this a little bit just in case you do get a secondary WAN in there or a tertiary WAN, whatever it might be, Starlink, you name it. So this is just a handful of the Peplink products that are out there. And one thing I always like to note is every Peplink product was built for a specific reason, for a specific project, whatever, what have you. So just kind of going down the list here to give you guys an idea of what is available by Peplink. In the top left-hand corner, that's the BR1 Mini. So that's our entry-level, low data, IoT type data use case, right? So it's got Wi-Fi 5 built in. It's got a 5G modem embedded with dual SIM slots so you can diversify your cellular carriers. And then it comes with an Ethernet WAN so you can plug your Starlink in there, and then a couple local ports as well. Very, very capable router for low data usage. The one right below that, that's the BR1 Pro 5G. So that's the next step up. It's capable of a full gig throughput, whereas the Mini above it is only up to 300 meg. The BR1 Pro 5G has Wi-Fi 6 built in it, so a much more capable Wi-Fi standard. And then all Peplink routers are going to come with external antenna connectors, mainly SMA, so the standard antenna connector. The one in the center there, that is a BR2 Pro 5G. One thing to note on Peplink SKUs, anytime there's a number in it, that's the amount of cellular modems that are inside of the router. So that BR2 Pro has 2 5G modems, both with their redundant SIM slots. So you could put Verizon, AT&T, T-Mobile, US Cellular, or any other provider inside this single router, and you can run 2 cellular carriers simultaneously. So think mobile applications where you may be cruising down the road on using Verizon and AT&T doing a mobile stream, and then you come to a AT&T dead zone or a Verizon dead zone, you're still covered because you have a secondary cellular SIM card running data. So again, the whole purpose of Peplink Speed Fusion is for you to never know that you lost a WAN or lost a carrier. So very capable router. Again, Wi-Fi 6 built in. It's got 4 local ports on it, dual WAN ports on it. So you can put a couple Starlinks in there as well. That's a very, very capable router. The one on top is the mission critical. You cannot afford a single second of downtime type router. So
that's the one that has the President motorcade, what you were saying, right?
Yep,
Okay.
that is with the White House communications team is our official answer.
There you go.
So that has quad 5G or dual 5G. So this is capable of up to 2.5 gigs of throughput, 3 WANs or 9 LANs or 8 LANs. You can see it on the picture there, but a very capable router, Wi-Fi 6. This is when you cannot afford downtime. So think mission critical, mobile command centers, mobile health buses and things like that. So that's a very cool router, the powerhouse they call it. The one on the bottom, that's just an example of many different rack mount enterprise type routers that Peplink has. So because Speed Fusion is a VPN, that means you got to have 2 endpoints, right? So it breaks it down to the session level. You're connected to this SDX as an example in your data center or in your headquarters. That is the bonding router. That's the one that's responsible for putting those packets back together. So that way your stream comes across as it should. Again, that's just an example. That's a modular version. So those 2 empty slots on the right, those are modules that you can replace or take out and customize it with Ethernet, 5G modems, more SFP ports, remote SIM injector as an option as well. So if you're placing your router in a hard to reach place, think on top of a sailboat mast, you can actually put a SIM injector in your router that's down in the cabin, and you can manage your SIM cards from a much safer.
John, speaking of antennas, and I would say at least 20% maybe a third of our Metro Wireless deployments use an outdoor antenna.
Mhm.
We love the Peplink series, especially this one at the top right is a cool one that you guys just came out with. And I know it preempts the conversation that Tom's about to have with bonding, but talk to us about some of the Peplink antenna options too.
Yeah, so Peplink is a technology company that makes cool products, is what we like to say. It's kind of it's very fitting, but what you're looking at here is pretty much CPE equipment where you can place your router inside of these enclosures, connect your antenna elements on the inside, and then you've got an all-encompassing IP67 enclosure that you can place outside, on top of a tour bus, on top of a squad car, on top of you name it. These are all IP67 rated. So the top one there, that's the Antenna Max S. S stands for Starlink. So you can see the Starlink on top. So that clips right in front, right on the top of it. And then underneath that, in the enclosure, you can place your Peplink router. You can connect all the antenna connectors, Ethernet WAN connect your Starlink, and then you can run a single cable down to your data center or your data closet or inside your vehicle to power that. So that way you're not having to run coax to the roof where you can place your external antennas. You have cable loss in those situations.
Yeah.
So this is a much cleaner, simpler, less expensive installation.
I like that one because just from an installation, as someone who has to oversee a lot of the installations, we noticed that the simpler we can make a rooftop installation or a vehicle installation, the better. So the fact that that antenna combines Starlink with the 5G antenna, with the router and all in one, and you run a single data cable to your MDF or to the vehicle, that makes it easy.
Yeah. We've had a lot of grateful installation partners write us some pretty nice emails on those.
Very cool.
So that's I don't want to say the newest, but that's in my opinion, the coolest one because it does incorporate the Starlink. That's a Starlink Mini, just so you know. The one in the middle there, that is the first version of the Antenna Max. It's called the Antenna Max. And that is a 4x4 MIMO, 2x2 Wi-Fi, all-in-one enclosure. So you can put a BR1 Pro 5G in there. And the top section of that, that's the antenna, right? So again, one single cable powering your router, your antenna is connected and you're up and running. And then the one on the bottom is built for that BR2 Pro, the dual 5G router that I showed you earlier. So multi-carrier solutions on top of a tour bus or a mobile command center. And then it does come with all of the accessories for mounting and weatherproofing the cables and everything like that. It's all included. It's not additional add-ons, things like that. So we're very excited about this. This is new to 2025. All of these products are, and they're very popular. Had a lot of great feedback on it.
Cool. Yeah, we're excited to be using these. Absolutely. Oh. Tom, take us away on the bonded wireless. I know this has been your baby over the last 18 months, and we've seen a lot of success with it.
We have. So Metrobond X is our repackaging of the Peplink Speed Fusion software that John was speaking to. So this is well-proven technology. This has been around for 15 years plus. Metrobond X and X2, X3, X4. I thought that was cute because it's the multiplication symbol too. So Metrobond X2 is 2 circuits bonded. X3 is 3, X4 is 4. The matrix on this starts to get confusing because we can bring Starlink in. So we can do 1 Starlink and 3 5Gs, or we can do 3 Starlink and 1 5G, or 4 Starlinks or 4 5Gs. There's different form factors for this. We'll get into the design of it. The point of it is that we just keep adding speed. So is speed good? Yeah, speed's good. But when we go back to the concept of the coverage ratio and look at our cloud access, and we look at how much money we would lose if we're sitting in front of an IT director or CIO and say, if we lose 10,000 an hour not being on the cloud, and he says, well, then how much speed do I need to make sure I don't lose 10,000 an hour? We start designing. If we need 4 circuits, that's what we need. The other reason people are buying 4s is they have a corporate mandate for minimum 100 meg upload, and you need to bond 4 wireless circuits to get to 100 meg upload, because wireless circuits are tuned for download, not up. So we have sold, we sold 20 plus just the 4s, never mind 2s and 3s. This is a service that sets us apart. I am not aware of anyone else in the channel who is offering this on a rate sheet basis. They might talk about customizing it, but 2, 3, 4, and you don't have to stop at 4. We can get to 5, 6, 7 when we get into that SDX. that gets to be custom pricing. So this has been the thing that has set us apart on the map. And this is the thing that delivers the actual mathematical coverage ratio to protect your cloud services. So whether it's accelerated performance or whether it's risk management, this product has really kind of taken off. And we're excited to talk about it.
Tom, there's actually a small demo we're doing on the back end right now. A certain cellular carrier that has red as their color in their brand is bonding right now with our team 12 Starlink dishes, and they're achieving 1 gig downloads at the point this moment. So they're bonding multiple dishes together. It's using an SDX Pro right now. They're actually going to upgrade to, I believe it's called a Balance 2500 or 5000.
2500 EC.
Yes, yep. Thank you. And so the sky is the limit as far as what you can deliver via the speeds. It's a really cool functionality. But Tom, can you walk us through kind of an illustrative view of, we'll use the Metro Bond X3 as an example, but take us through what we're looking at here.
So for the visual learners, this would be, as a network diagram, this would be 2 5G and 1 Starlink, and handing off to a device. But regardless of how many circuits we're bonding on the upstream, we are only taking up 1 WAN port on the downstream. So if we bond 4, 5, 6, 7, 10, 12, it will still do single Ethernet handoff. And so you still have as many ports as you have. And we can put static IP 1513 on this. That's another thing that we're offering that very few in the channel are. So bonded solutions plus static IP. I have a power company in Texas. They've now installed, as of this morning, installed or ordered 7 of these for locations. And their corporate security profile is they have to have 100 meg upload and they have to have 13 static IP because their chief information security officer says that's the way it has to be. So we're delivering a /28 on this, sub 100 millisecond latency and 100 meg upload. It's a cool application. You could also shrink this down and put it on. We're talking to power companies about bonding things. We're talking mobile medical and MRI about bonding things. Once you start thinking about fast wireless internet from multiple circuits, there's a number of use cases that start to pop up with not as many competitors, frankly, talking about the solution. A fiber build downtown is fairly well-trod ground, but delivering 400 meg download to an MRI that moves every 3 days, now you're selling solutions again, not just checking prices.
Yeah, well said. And Tom, you touched on this briefly, but again, we get so many inquiries, at least 2 to 3 a week, from clients who want a static IP handoff, right? Even via the bonded solution. So, to your point, no matter how many different WAN connections, how many 5G connections, how many Starlinks you put together, we can deliver a single /30, multiple IPs /29, 5 IPs /28, 13 IPs. We can deliver multiple static IPs over a single Ethernet handoff, right? We're only giving you 1 Ethernet handoff to your firewall or router internally. And so that's something that people really come to us for, because to your point, Tom, no one else in the channel or the space is doing it. So that's a big thing. Tom, I always like to have a good spirited discussion on this, but again, you deal with this every week. Talk us through some of the considerations that you're talking with partners and clients on about metered versus unlimited data plans.
Yeah, so metered plans and unlimited plans, when I got into this, with one of the founding wireless companies in here, I was employee number 6. And so in some cases, I helped invent what you hear about all the time now, which is cross-carrier pooling. We'll upgrade your data plan, automatic upgrade to the next plan, monitoring of your ongoing. And that's how you had to manage wireless, because it cost $8 to $12 a gig. And so, a terabyte at $12 a gig is 12 grand, and that's going to catch people's attention. So people really worked hard to not use the wireless unless they absolutely had to. And all these elaborate balancing act plans of, let's have a 1 gig plan at every location, but then we'll pool it. But then if we chew up the pool, okay, fine. That was a beautiful plan, and it ran for years and years. And is it as valid as it used to be when you look at bringing in an unlimited circuit from a Metro Wireless on a 5G that you could perhaps start bonding at a price point that's maybe $100 per location more than having to deal with a metered plan? And now it's incremental bandwidth that you can use every day. So what's nice about unlimited is you can start looking at it from can I replace my my Comcast circuit with this, my coax circuit with this. The coax circuits are climbing up to $250 a month. The 5G circuits are climbing down to $250 a month. They're starting to cross paths, but going back to the slide 1 or 2, you can't cut a wireless circuit. So maybe we get rid of coax and then, or maybe we get rid of coax and accelerate the wireless. I'm not sure exactly how the rate matrix is going to come out, but what I like about wireless unlimited at the end of the day is that you don't have to worry about how much you're using. It does becomes this thing that it's a hot stove that you can't touch. You can just use it on a production basis, on a daily basis, and you know it's working. It can become part of your network monitoring tools, and so you can have confidence that that throughput is there for you on a daily basis in a no cut, no flood, route diverse environment. I think that's the total value package of an unlimited wireless circuit when you add it all up versus an idle circuit kind of sitting off to the side.
Point, right? And to your point, Tom, I looked at the stats, 90+% of our clients opt for the unlimited plans because, they're more cost effective than ever and they don't have to worry about kind of the taxi cab thing of the meter running all the time and on their usage, right? We just had a client on Friday night. I saw the ticket come through a rural airport in California. Their primary coax or fiber had a cut. They were starting to use their metered Starlink or 5G backup solution from us. And it blew through the data allotment that we capped it at. And so we had to unlock it further. And they're unfortunately going to rack up a huge bill for this month. Whereas if they were on the unlimited option, they would have more predictable invoicing, no overages, things like that. Again, it's a tough call. And again, it depends on the need of the client and the user. I always want to make sure that people know that we do still offer those affordable metered options. For example, we start at just $60 a month on our 1 gig pooled or metered data plans. And that includes the Peplink 5G router that John was showing earlier. That's that entry-level option that a lot of people it works for. But if you truly want to do active usage of your wireless circuit, to Tom's point, unlimited makes most sense, right? And again, most of our clients are opting for those unlimited data plans, but we always like to show that we still have the good old fashioned 1 gig metered plans, and they're very cost effective, at least up front, starting at just $60 a month. So again, I think it just depends on the user's need and appetite for budget and predictable invoicing. We believe and we take the position that unlimited makes most sense, but for some of those legacy customers and very cost sensitive customers, the metered data plans still make a lot of sense. So that's where we land on that, at least.
Yeah, and if I could tie this to a larger theme, Tyler,
go ahead.
There is no right answer. The larger theme that we're trying to get across is that business continuity design is the concept of there is no one size fits all. What is the proper data plan? What is the proper equipment? What is the proper network? What is the proper number of circuits? What is the proper speed? What is the proper mounting location? If we're going to do wireless and spend money on it, then let's spend money and do it right. The concept from some of our competitors that this is easy and one size fits all and it works the same everywhere, that's just not true. And the people who like to tout that message are the people who sell other things. So if I have a massive SD-WAN practice and my wireless is just a bolt-on and I don't understand it that well, then that's the pitch I'm going to make. It's all the same. It's not. All we do is wireless. So when you're ready to spend money on actual wireless, let's get a real wireless result and let's maximize every dollar we spend. With a specialist who can make you, frankly, look good by setting you apart and delivering a result that other people just aren't. That's what we do at Metro Wireless.
Well said, Tom, and I think that goes well into the recap here before we get into the Q&A. And again, please feel free to submit questions to the via the Q&A functionality on Zoom here or via the chat. So again, Tom, to your point, we don't look at business continuity or wireless failover as a single product, a single SKU, a single router. We looked at it as a practice, right? So the solution for every client is going to be different. The router we deploy for one client is going to be different than the router and data plan that we deploy for another client with a different antenna. Some clients will do well with 2 Starlinks, some will need 2 5Gs, right? Or a mix of the two. So to that point, we really want to hit home that business continuity design relies on a couple of things. One, you need both a route and network diverse options, right? We talked about fiber cut and flood, as well as the core data issues and how you can't pair an AT&T wireline circuit with a wireless circuit. The second piece is make sure your provider, and Metro Wireless does this, of course, you have to think about assured signal acquisition, getting good signal to that router, whether that's moving it to a different place in the building using an outdoor antenna, or making sure you're not just relying on one wireless carrier, that you use an MSP that can handle all 3 or 4 carriers like ourselves. The other piece there that Tom talked about was coverage ratio, right? So making sure that you just don't have a 2% upload compared to your primary circuit for your failover circuit. You need better coverage ratio to handle most cloud applications these days. And otherwise, you're dead in the water when that failover event does happen. Again, just to reiterate, the best practices we have found from doing this for years is ensuring that always make sure you have the right carrier before installation. Metro Wireless does a desktop site survey, trying to find the closest cell tower, what carriers are on that cell tower, is it 4G, 5G, for every service address you'll send to us. Making sure you're procuring business grade wireless hardware. We rely on Peplink. They've been a great partner again. Thank you, John, for a number of years now, versus some of the other alternatives out there. And that, again, we are using antennas in many, many cases to ensure that we get the best signal strength. Again, I'll say it once again, we view business continuity design as a practice and not just a single product. So yes, we have rate sheets and things like that. However, just about every quote we provide to our clients and proposal is customized based on their needs. And so that's the space we like to play in, and we'll continue to do so. With that in mind, I'd like to go ahead and get to the Q&A section. So we'll flip to that. Before we do, just as a reminder, please send all quote requests to sales@metrowireless.com. We have a team there that'll pick it up, and Tom will see it with our other sales folks. And we will, of course, work on any inquiries, and he'll schedule time with you as those kind of inquiries come in. Tom, I'm going to open up the Q&A here. We already have a couple questions. Eric asked, does Metro Wireless provide a tower location tool? So Eric, we don't directly provide, say, a tower location tool to our clients. However, the standard process for our team is, say you send an address or a spreadsheet of 300 addresses, which we'll get it for multi-site opportunities. We will take that data, those addresses back, and then we'll provide to you results. So typically, our team will do a desktop site survey. They're looking at an internal tool that confirms, again, like I said, they're looking for the best towers in the area. What's the closest tower? Is it an AT&T or Verizon tower? If it's a Verizon tower, let's say, is it 5G capable, or is it still 4G capable? What bands and spectrum of the 5G or 4G are there, right? Because there's multiple slices of spectrum within 4G and 5G. And so our team will let you know, hey, if it's less than 2 miles away and the router will be in a good place within the building, we might not need an antenna. If it's farther than that, or you think you might need the antenna, we'll put that on the proposal, things of that nature. So we do all of that for you. And then all of our pricing for our carriers, we've made it uniform. So let's say we think that Verizon's going to be the best carrier when we go to install, but actually AT&T tests better. We'll go ahead and swap that to an AT&T SIM card for you. And that way you don't have to worry about it. And the pricing and the billing stays all the same. So we did that about 1.5 years ago, and clients have been really happy about the way we've treated that. Tom used to be a big desktop site survey nut. Am I forgetting any points there?
Nope, but well covered.
Okay, cool. Rajesh asked us about how much is unlimited. Unlimited is certainly best. I use per gig with another provider, and it can be very costly. Rajesh, I see this a lot with some of the overage bills and things we see from clients when they get those. I would say it's not that much more expensive. I'm trying to think in the rate card. Tom, can you have a couple off the cuff examples on like a Metro SIM, SIM only or things like that?
Metro SIM only, 36 months is $109 a month.
Yeah, versus, and I think on a SIM card, depending on the data, it can be from $25 to $60 for that data on a metered plan. Now that's just for that doesn't include the overages, right? Which we're typically charging anywhere from $15 to $20 for, Rajesh. So again, it depends on the client example, but we can, we can make it metered or unlimited. Some clients will go unlimited data on a primary carrier, but then metered on a failover carrier. So, they'll do unlimited on the Verizon data, but in areas where Verizon isn't testing well, they'll fail over to, say a T-Mobile metered plan. So it just depends on that in that case. We have a question from Philip here. So Philip asked, do we use the physical Omni SIMs? And Philip, please comment in the chat if I'm not understanding correctly, but do we use physical Omni SIMs or individual SIMs dedicated to each carrier? Oh, okay, I see the question here. So it depends on the need, right? So we use carrier direct SIMs, On most of our offerings, especially on the unlimited plans, it's always going to be a carrier direct SIM. On the pool, the metered plans, we often use a carrier neutral SIM that can route between the three carriers. Now, what's cool about that, Philip, is the fact that, again, when we go to deploy that, if on the carrier neutral SIM, if Verizon, for example, isn't testing well, despite the fact that our survey said it would be, we can easily flip over on the carrier neutral SIM to T-Mobile or AT&T. We can also provide a static IP on that, which is very cool. That's a new feature out on that option. And then, Philip, you didn't ask, but just for anyone who's curious, we offer both physical SIMs as well as the new virtual SIMs or electronic SIMs, or eSIMs is what a lot of people call those. We can offer both of those options to folks. Thank you. I'm just making these set. Bobby asked a question on, do we offer priority data on the unlimited plan? Yes. So Bobby, one thing that sets us apart and from other providers, and you really got to make sure you're asking this question, whether you're procuring the data on behalf of the client or for yourself. So yes, we only offer the enterprise grade data plans with our offerings. Again, that's across all three carriers. We have wholesale carrier to carrier agreements with Verizon, T-Mobile, AT&T, US Cellular, and now of course, Starlink. And so our data is prioritized above normal consumer data or consumer cell phones. Same thing on the Starlink side, right? Our commercial data plans sit above the residential tier, the consumer tier, and the priority stack. The only tier that typically sits above our normal enterprise plans is the first responder plan. So if you've heard of AT&T FirstNet or Verizon's Frontline, thank you. T-Mobile Priority, thank you. So I know you knew them all off the cuff. Just because it's an emergency responder, they will sit higher in the stack, but otherwise, aside from that, we are sitting the highest on the in the network stack there. So that's that piece. Tom, did I miss anything on that one?
And Bobby might be asking a specific Starlink question. Bobby, clarify this. Are you asking about unlimited priority data on Starlink? Your question is, do you offer priority data on the unlimited plan? I'm going to answer this. Starlink does not offer unlimited priority data anymore. That's universal and global. So you buy your priority data plan, and once you hit your priority data plan, you become 5G networks. Okay. Thank you, Bobby. So Bobby's question is, do you offer priority data on the unlimited 5G network event? Yes, it's unlimited, and it's number 2 on that priority stack, as Tyler spoke to. The only downside is at events and festivals, etc., we're hearing more about towers getting jammed. That's a fact of life. And so people are bringing Starlink and some other solutions in if they're working at a festival, or they're working at festivals are big. Also, big construction sites are another one. They're building massive automotive infrastructure in the South, and they're saturating towers. And we've been a part of bringing Starlink in to solve for that. There's a number of options to route based on priority and what's available. And I believe that answers your question. On the Starlink side, I guess I'm going to finish answering that. We have methods of engineering around started data capping such that you're not throttling and you're not getting overages by using Metro Bond and weaving in 5G circuits. So the Starlink overages and throttling is definitely become a thing. We have a solution for that.
And Tom, I know it's a cheesy name, but the Metro Retro. So in that case, what do you tell a client that is facing Starlink throttling or a lot of overage charges? They have a direct relationship with Starlink, but they're having trouble with it. What do you typically solution there?
Yeah, so we can ship a router out, bond your Starlink and our 5G Unlimited together, and then we start dynamically allocating the Starlink and using the 5G. So that's a bonding solution. We could also put 5G on the side and do load balancing. This is where we get into design, but we need to bring in additional circuits. Every terabyte that you use of data on Starlink costs you $250. So if you're using a terabyte and a half over, that's going to cost you about $350. And now a 5G solution is unlimited, and it's at a similar price point, and you no longer have to worry about the management side. So yeah, Metro Retro, it is cheesy, but we retrofit our 5G circuit onto your current Starlink data plan and solve the problem.
I like the name Metro Retro. Yeah, we've had some fun with that.
There's nothing wrong with cheesy.
Yeah, that's true. Tom, I don't see any other questions coming in, but is there anything else that we may have missed today or that you wanted to hit home on before we let the folks head off today.
Yeah, just reiteration, protect your cloud gains with a robust wireless solution. If we were to summarize what we're getting at here, it's protect your cloud gains. You've generated millions of savings and efficiencies using the cloud. This is the insurance policy because it exposes the risk. Since everything's in the cloud, it can all come crashing down if you can't get to the internet. $10,000 to $15,000 a year per rooftop, and you'll solve the problem. Bottom line, and that's what we're here for.
John, anything from the Peplink and Frontier side?
Put your trust in these guys. They know what they're doing. We appreciate you guys. Thanks for coming on.
Awesome. Yeah, and thanks for having us and working with us. Again, you've been a very trusted partner. You guys are not only the largest Peplink distributor, but also exclusive with them. So that's very cool. There's a lot of trust between our teams here. So I appreciate that. Tom, thank you again for the time, and for everyone who joined today, thank you so much. Again, you'll see some marketing communications come out from our team later this week about the recording, the transcript, the slides, and some marketing materials from us. So please feel free to reach out to us with any questions from here. Thank you, Kathy, and send all those quote requests to sales@metrowireless.com. So awesome. Thank you, everyone. Thank you very much, everyone, and have a great day.
Cool.